Hey it's me, Alex the Omega with the time here, and I am back with another reaction video. And as you may know, today is Friday, so that means it has to be scary videos. Yay! Yep, so that means y'all get to see my ass being scared all day. But yeah, okay. This one is from it's a police officer horror story animated. And it says this one's true. And that is something curious. And of course, I'm going to get scared. But that's what y'all like, and I'm bringing it to y'all. So yeah, let's get started. I got a call that night that saved his life.
Got a call at about 4 a.m. Typical car wreck in rural area. Respond and find car hit light pole and no one around. Figure it's a drunk and start walking around the area trying to find where he's hiding.
The police is like, I don't care.
Across the street and about 150 yards away. After a couple of minutes, a woman comes screaming bloody murder from the house towards my unit. Full sprint, screaming at the top of her lungs. I shine my flashlight on her so she knows where I am because she's just running towards my car. She sees me and runs straight up to me. I'm trying to calm her down, make sure she's not injured and all that good stuff.
She sprinted.
She tells me it's her car. Okay, getting somewhere, but she wasn't driving. Here we go. Let me guess, somebody stole it? Nope. She told her husband she was leaving him. He freaks out and says he's going to kill himself. She says he downed a bottle of aspirin and no clue if this was true or not. When that didn't work, he jumped in the car and drove into the light pole trying to kill himself. When that didn't work, he ran back over to the house and they argued some more. Sees me pull up, makes her leave and locks all the doors. I asked her why she didn't leave and was he being violent towards her. No, he would never hurt her, she said. But he grabbed like a 12-inch butcher knife from the kitchen and told her she needed to go, so she did. Once he locked the door, she panicked because the children were inside. Don't remember the ages.
Wait! They're children! Oh no, poor children. RP your kids.
Knife from the kitchen and told her she needed to go, so she did. Once he locked the door, she panicked because the children were inside. Don't remember the ages, but very young. Cue the screaming and running. I look over to the house and began to see the interior lights going off one by one.
Your children.
Well, shit. I hurry up and jump in my car and drive over.
Your children.
Fellow cop pulls up.
Your
quickly fill him in.
Are dead.
Suicidal male with kids inside. House is dead quiet. We begin stalking around in the darkness, trying to peek in windows to assess the situation.
Them children are dead!
We get to the back door, we hear a noise, and my buddy swings his light up, and we see him in the backyard behind us. Freaking guy was outside the entire time.
Dang, he tad!
He's sitting on his feet, half sitting up, is the best way I can describe it. Tats all over him, no shirt on with jeans.
He got
his
butcher
head is cocked to the side and he's just staring at us with that giant ass knife in his hand.
I was about to say that. I was about to say he got a giant ass butcher knife.
He's about 20 feet away. Start talking to him, but no response. Then all of a sudden, without saying a word, he begins cutting. I mean full on slicing his forearms and chest. Then he begins screaming and crying. We're telling him to stop, just talk to us, you're not in trouble, we'll get you help. He says he deserves to die. Well, I'm not killing him and my buddy's not either. He switched hands and started slicing the other forearm. Just deep, terrible cuts and he won't stop. He starts slicing his thighs, chest, and even his neck a little. We already called for the ambulance. He finally stood up and was begging for us to kill him. We kind of danced around a little while not allowing him to position himself to become a threat to us. Yes, I know about the reactionary gap and I wasn't worried about it. He was losing blood and getting weak, so we basically decided to wait him out. He cut a few more times and he walked around a bit and then just fell down. We pounced and got the knife away and the ambulance showed up. Got him to ER. Docs advised it took 250 stitches to patch him up.
Okay, never mind.
No charges and we got him referred for some help. The kids were unharmed, by the way. He sent her away because he wanted to die and didn't want her to see it. No shit, I pulled that guy over about 3 months later on a random traffic stop. And when he saw me, he just burst into tears and gave me a big old hug. Wife and kids were in the car and they were making it one day at a time. Said he got some help and was in a dark place that night. Ever been thanked for not shooting someone? Yep. It's just as weird as it sounds.
Oh. Huh. To be honest, I thought, oh. Well, to be honest, I thought the police officer might be interesting because, you know, that, I really thought it was going to be scary, but, well, it kind of did at first, but now it just sank kind of low. You know what? Let's do like this. Okay, yeah. You know what? We're gonna make this a long ass video. We're gonna watch another one. We're gonna watch another on scary.
Yes, it is.
Scary animated.
Thank you for asking.
Okay, here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new addition. H.
After when the ads are out. There we go. Okay, here we go. True creepy gas station horror stories. Ooh.
I'm a 24-year-old male, and this happened to me a few years ago when I was around 21. I remember because it was shortly after my birthday in December. It was really cold outside, and there was snow on the ground, as we had just had a snowstorm pass through our area. I lived with my parents at the time, and my mom is not really a fan of driving in the snow, so she asked me if I could drive her to the gas station for her to pick up some cigarettes for her and my dad, as well as a few other items they might have needed. I said sure, as I wasn't really doing anything at the time, and I grabbed my keys, then following her to the car. I remember the cold air hitting your face pretty hard that night, so it had to be at least around the teens, which made the snow and whatever else was on the roads really slippery. This is important to know for later on in the story. The nearest gas station was about 5 minutes away from us, but given the conditions of the roads, it took us about 10 to get there. Once I was able to park the car, my mom got out of the car, then made her way inside the store. From where I was parked, I could see her inside the store standing in the line that was leading up to the register.
Alright.
I kept the car running as it was really cold and I just didn't want to be sitting in the car without any heat. I was browsing on my phone while waiting for my mom to get done, and right around that time I had seen her finally approach the register. There was a black truck that pulled up into the parking spot right next to my car. I found this a bit unusual given that the parking lot was empty, so I mean, there was really no reason for them to park right next to the spot where I was. But I kind of just chalked it up to them wanting to be as close to the entrance as they could, given how cold it was that night. No one got out of the car at first, but I didn't even notice this until I looked up to see my mom walking out of the entrance back to the car. I glanced over to the truck's passenger side window, and I could just make out a figure sitting in the passenger seat, and they were facing in my direction. My mom opened the door, then got inside, before then asking me what I was looking at. I told her about the truck pulling up well over a few minutes ago around the same time that she approached the register, but that nobody had gotten out. She first chalked it up to maybe they were just waiting for someone inside the store to come out, but when I mentioned seeing a figure in the passenger side of the car looking towards our direction, she then began to sense why I was so spooked out by it. She told me to just back out and get out of there, and that we didn't need to worry about them once we drove off.
Okay.
As soon as I put the car into reverse and then began to back up, the passenger door swung open and hit the side of my car. A tall, very built man stepped out from the car as soon as the door made contact with my car. I hit the brakes as soon as I felt the contact, and the man stood there before throwing his hands up at me and then staring in my direction.
Run, no! No! No!
The new pepperoni pizza.
Whoa, I swear. If he said he hit my truck, I'm gonna go ballistic, bro. Man, I hate these ads. Man, I need my premium.
I didn't really know what to do as I'd never really been in any sort of accident before. And my mom was sitting right there next to me and could see as well as I had that the door had not been opened until we had already started moving. The man slowly walked up to my window and just stood there.
This man Jack.
I cracked it very slowly, and I told the man that I was sorry, but that I didn't see the door open as I was backing out. For a brief moment, he didn't really say anything. That is, before he simply asked,
"Roll down your window a little bit more. I can barely hear you."
I knew this couldn't be true as it was really quiet in that
I'll be like, that's a damn lie. I know you can hear me. You're just going to do something to me.
area, and I wasn't
Pause.
even speaking in a low tone. I told him that I'd prefer to keep it cracked as I really didn't want to let cold air get into the car. This really angered the man, and he immediately spoke in a more angered tone now. He was telling me to roll down my window yet again. I again told him no, and this is when things then took a turn for the absolute worse. Without any warning whatsoever, the man smacked my window really hard with his hand. Startled, I immediately jumped back and rolled the window up. My mom was right beside me, just absolutely yelling for me to just back out and leave. But I was really afraid of hitting the man in the process, as he was still right next to my
Dude, hit the man! I don't, bro! If he women got at me, I don't care about them!
And tried punching it. It was right at this point where I realized that if I didn't get my mom and I out of there fast, this guy was definitely gonna hurt us.
Yeah.
I could see the cashier inside the gas station heard what was going on, and he looked to be on the phone with what I could only assume was the police.
Thank you, this
absolutely
girl.
no way I
Watch
could wait
it.
for them, as the man was
Damn, but this man got some six-pack. Damn.
It
This
was
man
like some switch had
exercising.
been flipped on in this man's head, and he had just totally lost it. I told my mom to hold on as I put the car into reverse again and backed out of there as fast as I could.
Put that bitch on
just
drive.
guy by a few inches.
Exactly.
I pulled fully out of the parking spot before the man ran out in front of our car and slammed his hands right on the hood.
Hit him.
I sat there frozen, not knowing what to
Hit
do,
him.
as the man looked right back at me.
Hit him.
I turned the car wheel, then sped around him, trying to avoid him the best that I could before booking it the hell out of there. After that, I honestly thought that was the end of it. But as we made our way down the road to a stoplight, I was able to see headlights that was fast approaching from behind our car. And once it was close enough behind us, I could then see that it was the same truck the man was in. There appeared to be two people inside of it. I assumed the man I encountered must have been the passenger, and I guess the driver was someone I hadn't noticed before.
Man, no.
I told my mom that it was them behind us, and she started to freak out and call my dad, then letting him know what was going on. We were still probably about 10 minutes away from our house given the road conditions. But I knew that there was no way that I could get us back to our house in that amount of time before these guys tried to ram us off the road, or whatever else they had planned for us.
Oh man, we might
Mom for us to escape back towards our house, and that he would try and meet us halfway.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm being too childish.
She told me this, and I agreed that this had to be our best option, given that I couldn't turn around and head back to the gas station, still not knowing if the police had even been called or not. So once the light turned green, I punched on the gas and sped off.
Yes, boy!
I really wasn't being that cautious of the road at this point, as there really weren't any other cars at this point of the night. There were a few times where the car slid from the ice on the road.
Watch out!
That it would only take one turn of the wheel to lose control. But I wasn't going to slow down and let these guys catch up to us. After about a few minutes of driving, we were able to see headlights right in front of us on the other side of the road. I was thinking that it had to be my father, and as we got a little closer, we were able to make out his truck beyond the lights.
Thank you.
Very surprisingly, the truck was still behind us, still keeping pace with me given the road.
Dude, your father better be working now.
I could see my father cut across the section of the road and stop shortly off the side of the road. I started to slow down right as we approached and then pulled off to the side of the road, the truck still following me. As I came to a stop, the same man from before that was in the passenger seat hopped out of the car, then started making his way to our car. The driver opened his door, but before he could step out, both of the men stopped dead in their tracks at the sound of my father's voice. I suggest that both of you hop back in the car.
The father got a gun, bro.
Before I put a bullet in the both of you.
Oh, you
see my dad walking out into the light.
You tell him.
From both his and my headlights.
He look at.
He had
His father looks like an assassin, and
this 9mm pistol pulled and aimed right at the man's head as he stood right next to my
man,
car.
bro, we need something
I pretty
else.
much just
He need to go
watched
like,
as both men stood there for a
okay,
brief
wait, I'm
moment
sorry,
as my dad
sorry.
slowly inched his way towards them.
Bro, pull
The man then very slowly backed away towards his truck.
Bro, do
before then
it!
speaking to what I assumed was my father.
You're really lucky you got here when you did.
The man laughed and jumped back into his truck before it quickly backed out and drove off in the other direction. My dad walked to my window and he asked me and my mom if we were okay. I remember telling him that other than being scared shitless, I think we were fine. Shortly afterwards, my dad followed us back home just to make sure no one else followed us. I really have no idea what those men's intentions were or why
That's
they
a good
reacted
father,
the
bro.
way he did.
That's
All
a
I
good
know is
father.
that if I hadn't reacted how I did to get my mom and I out of there,
Exactly.
I just really hate to think what those men would have done to us.
Well, crap. Alright, y'all. That's going to do it to it. I hope y'all enjoy I hope y'all love me scaring my ass off. But yeah, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to be notified for any more of my videos. And until next time, peace out, y'all.